Nehemiah 13. On that day they read from the book of Moses in the hearing of the people, and in it was found written that no Ammonite or Moabite should ever enter the assembly of God, because they did not meet the Israelites with bread and water, but hired Balaam against them to curse them. Yet our God turned the curse into a blessing. When the people heard the law, they separated from Israel all those of foreign descent. Now before this, the priest Eliashib, who was appointed over the chambers of the house of our God, and who was related to Tobiah, prepared for Tobiah a large room where they had previously put a grain offering, the frankincense, the vessels, and the tithes of grain, wine, and oil, which were given by commandment to the Levites, singers, and gatekeepers, and the contribution for the priests. While this was taking place, I was not in Jerusalem, for in the 32nd year of King Artaxerxes of Babylon, I went to the king. After some time I asked leave of the king and returned to Jerusalem. Then I discovered the wrong that Eliashib had done on behalf of Tobiah, preparing a room for him in the courts of the house of God. And I was very angry, and I threw all the household furniture of Tobiah out of the room. Then I gave orders, and they cleansed the chambers, and I brought back the vessel of the house of God, with the grain offering and the frankincense. I also found out that the portion of the Levites had not been given to them, so that the Levites and the singers who had conducted the service had gone back to their fields. So I remonstrated with the officials and said, "Why is the house of God forsaken?" And I gathered them together and set them in their stations. Then all Judah brought the tithe of the grain, wine, and oil into the storehouses, and I appointed as treasurers over the storehouses of the priest Shelemiah the scribe, Zadok, and Pedaiah of the Levites, and as their assistant Hanan son of Zechor son of Mattaniah, for they were considered faithful, and their duty was to distribute to their associates. Remember me, O my God, concerning this, and do not wipe out my good deeds that I have done for the house of my God and for this service. In those days I saw in Judah people treading wine presses on the Sabbath, and bringing in heaps of grain and loading them on donkeys, and also wine, grapes, figs, and all kinds of burdens, which they brought into Jerusalem on the Sabbath day. And I warned them at that time against selling food. Tyrians also, who lived in the city, brought in fish and all kinds of merchandise and sold them on the Sabbath to the people of Judah and in Jerusalem. Then I remonstrated with the nobles of Judah and said to them, "What is this evil thing that you are doing, profaning the Sabbath day? Did not your ancestors act in this way, and did not our God bring all this disaster on us and on this city? Yet you bring more wrath on Israel by profaning the Sabbath." When it began to be dark at the gates of Jerusalem before the Sabbath, I commanded that the doors should be shut, and gave orders that they should not be opened until after the Sabbath. And I set some of my servants over the gates to prevent any burden from being brought in on the Sabbath day. Then the merchants and the sellers of all kinds of merchandise spent the night outside Jerusalem once or twice, but I warned them and said to them, "Why do you spend the night in front of the wall? If you do so again, I will lay hands on you." From that time on they did not come on the Sabbath. And I commanded the Levites that they should purify themselves and come and guard the gates, to keep the Sabbath day holy. Remember this also in my favor, O my God, and spare me according to the greatness of your steadfast love. In those days also I saw Jews who had married women of Ashdod, Ammon, and Moab, and half of their children spoke the language of Ashdod, and they could not speak the language of Judah. but spoke the language of various peoples. And I commanded with them, and I cursed them, and beat some of them, and pulled out their hair. And I made them take an oath in the name of God, saying, You shall not give your daughters to their sons, or take their daughters for your sons, or for yourself. Did not King Solomon of Israel sin on account of such women? Among the many nations there was no king like him, and he was beloved by his God, and God made him king over all Israel. Nevertheless, foreign women made even him to sin. Shall we then listen to you and do all this great evil and act treacherously against our God by marrying foreign women? And one of the sons of Jehoiada, son of the high priest Eliashib, was the son-in-law of Sanballat the Horonite. I chased him away from me. Remember them, O my God, because they have defiled the priesthood, the covenant of the priest and the Levites. Thus I cleansed them from everything foreign, and I established the duties of the priests and the Levites, each in his work, and I provided for the wood offering at appointed times and for the first fruits. Remember me, O my God, for good. This book tells the story of Tobit, son of Tobiah, son of Hananiel, son of Aduel, son of Gabriel, son of Raphael, of the descendants of Asher, of the tribe of Naphtali, who in the days of King Shalmaneser of the Assyrians was taken into captivity from this bay, which is to the south of Kadesh, Naphtali, in Upper Galilee, above Asher, towards the west and north of Phogah. I, Tobit, walked in the ways of truth and righteousness all the days of my life. I performed many acts of charity for my kindred and my people who had gone with me in exile to Nineveh, in the land of the Assyrians, when I was in my own country, in the land of Israel, while I was still a young man. The whole tribe of my ancestor Naphtali deserted the house of David and Jerusalem. The city had been chosen from among all the tribes of Israel, where all the tribes of Israel should offer sacrifice, and where the temple, the dwelling of God, had been consecrated and established for all generations forever. All my kindred and the ancestral house of Naphtali sacrificed to the calf that King Jeroboam of Israel had erected in Dan and all the mountains of Galilee. But I alone went often to Jerusalem for the festivals, as it is prescribed for all Israel by an everlasting decree. I would hurry off to Jerusalem with the first fruit of the crops and the firstlings of the flock, the tithes of the cattle, and the first shearings of the sheep. I will give these to the priest, the sons of Aaron, at the altar. Likewise the tenth of the grain wine, olive oil, pomegranates, figs, and the rest of the fruits to the sons of Levi, who minister at Jerusalem. Also for 6 years I will save up a second tenth in money and go and distribute it in Jerusalem. A third tenth I will give to the orphans and widows and to the converts who had attached themselves to Israel. I will bring it and give it to them in the third year, and we will eat it according to the ordinance decreed concerning it in the law of Moses, and according to the instruction of Deborah, the mother of my father Tobiah. For my father had died and left me as orphan. When I became a man, I married a woman, a member of our own family, and by her I became the father of a son, whom I named Tobias. After I was carried away captive to Assyria, and came as a captive to Nineveh, every one of my kindred and my people ate the food of the Gentiles. But I kept myself from eating the food of the Gentiles, because I was mindful of God with all my heart. The Most High gave me favor and good standing with Shalmaneser, and I used to buy everything he needed. Until his death, I used to go into Media and buy for him there. While in the country of Media, I left bags of silver worth 10 talents in trust with Gabriel, the brother of Gabri. But when Shalmaneser died and his son Sennacherib reigned in his place, the highways into Media became unsafe, and I could no longer go there. In the days of Shalmaneser, I performed many acts of charity to my kindred, those of my tribe. I would give my food to the hungry and my clothing to the naked. And if I saw the dead body of any of my people thrown out behind the wall of Nineveh, I would bury it. I also buried any whom King Sennacherib put to death that when he came fleeing from Judea in those days of judgment, that the King of heaven executed upon him because of his blasphemies. For in his anger he put to death many Israelites, and I would secretly remove the bodies and bury them. So when Sennacherib looked for them, he could not find them. Then one of the Ninevites went and informed the king about me, that I was burying them. So I hid myself. But when I realized that the king knew about me and that I was being searched for to put to death, I was afraid and ran away. Then all my property was confiscated. Nothing was left to me that I was not taken into the royal treasury except my wife Anna and my son Tobias. But not 40 days passed before two of Sennacherib's sons killed him, and they fled to the mountains of Ararat, and his son Esarhaddon reigned after him. He appointed Ahikam, the son of my brother Hananiah, over all the accounts of his kingdom, and he had authority over the entire administration. Ahikam interceded for me, and I returned to Nineveh. Now Ahikam was chief cupbearer, keeper of the signet, and in charge of administration of the accounts under King Sennacherib of Assyria. So Esarhaddon reappointed him. He was my nephew, and so a close relative. The one who lives alone is self-indulgent, showing contempt for all who have sound judgment. A fool takes no pleasure in understanding, but only in expressing personal opinion. When wickedness comes, contempt comes also, and with dishonor comes disgrace. The words of the mouth are deep waters. The fountain of wisdom is a gushing stream. It is not right to be partial to the guilty, or to support the innocent in judgment. A fool's lips bring strife, and a fool's mouth invites a flogging. The mouth of fools are their ruin, and their lips a snare to themselves. The words of a whisperer are like delicious morsels. They go down into the inner parts of the body. One who is slack in work is close-kin to a vandal. The name of the Lord is a strong tower. The righteous run into it and are safe. The wealth of the rich is their strong city. In their imagination it is like a high wall. Before destruction, one's heart is haughty, but humility goes before honor. If one gives answer before hearing, it is folly and shame. The human spirit will endure sickness, but a broken spirit who can bear? An intelligent mind acquires knowledge, and the ear of the wise seeks knowledge. A gift opens doors, it gives access to the great. The one who first states a case seems right, until the other comes and cross-examines. Casting the Lord puts an end to disputes and decides between powerful contenders. An ally offended is stronger than a city. Such quarreling is like the bars of a castle. From the fruit of the mouth one's stomach is satisfied. The yield of the lips brings satisfaction. Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those who love it will eat its fruits. He who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord. The poor use entreaties, but the rich answer roughly. Some friends play at friendship, but a true friend sticks closer than one's nearest kin.